All right, gentlemen, let's do some Davos Watch. What do you say?
Go.
All right, welcome to episode 10 of Davos Watch, where we keep an eye on the global elites from Davos to the UN and all the other advocates of global fascism and totalitarian technocracy. This week, I wanted to talk about a couple of things that specifically relate to the World Economic Forum and the Davos 2024 conference that will be taking place in about a week and a half from now, starting on January 15th. In the last episode of Davos Watch, we talked about Klaus Schwab and the massive amount of influence he wields as founder and CEO of the World Economic Forum. During that episode, we briefly talked about the Young Global Leaders program. In the episode, we played a clip of Schwab talking about how many world leaders, from Justin Trudeau to Andrea Merkel, were former members of the Young Global Leaders program, and how the program allows the World Economic Forum to, quote, penetrate the administrations of governments around the world. In this episode, I want to talk about three things. Number one, the fact that we should take the World Economic Forum and Davos very seriously. Number two, the size and scope of the Young Global Leaders program and its effects on global policy. And number three, I want to take a little look ahead at the upcoming Davos 2024 conference. So let's start off with the World Economic Forum and Davos itself. And apologies to the constant listeners out there that already know bits and pieces of all of this. I think by now a good percentage of conservatives know the World Economic Forum and Davos. However, I fear that this knowledge is often superficial. Perhaps some know that it's filled with globalist wannabe central planners, or maybe they'll see the yearly story highlighting how hypocritical these heads of state are for their week-long virtue signaling about climate while they jet along in their private planes eating 5-course meals at a posh ski resort, etc., etc. But we can't just dismiss these power-hungry elites as simply hypocritical virtue signalers looking for an excuse to swing in Switzerland. Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum have been able to achieve massive wins towards the goal of obtaining global far left-wing collectivism. So one of those big wins, I think, this is probably the biggest one, I would say, is the idea of public-private cooperation. So this is the Great Reset. This is stakeholder capitalism, or the label that we gave it when we were working with Glenn Beck on this issue is 21st century fascism. The entire system of ESG, the metrics guidelines for the system of corporate social credit scoring, all of the infrastructure and policies that molded the entire new age version of controlled economy was built right under our noses with direct coordination and development from the World Economic Forum. Also, World Economic Forum and Davos and all of that, they are extremely good, well-versed at influence and messaging. How is it that talking points of the World Economic Forum are parroted across the world? They don't have a news network. They don't own the New York Times or the Washington Post. So how do their viewpoints become so pervasive? Well, it's because they deal in influence. That is the currency of the World Economic Forum. Davos and the other couple dozen events that they host annually act as a showroom for the latest and brightest globalist leftist talking points, and world leaders, business leaders, and probably more importantly, high-level members of their staff are subjected to hours of narrative-spinning presentations on a whole host of dire issues that desperately need the action of compassionate leaders that have the power, nay, the duty to do something about it. And then this messaging is consciously, or maybe even subconsciously, infused into the messaging and influence of the attendees. So when they go back to their their countries or whatever, and they're doing their campaigning and speaking from the podium, they are regurgitating some of those talking points that they have just obtained from places like Davos. So after a week at Davos, political and business leaders are just itching to up uphold their civic duty and act as they see fit on a whole range of issues, whether it be climate change, renewable energy, income inequality, social justice, what have you. Also, public policy. So, this obviously, what I've just described, can obviously lead to changes in public policy. In addition to the messaging at the Davos conference and the cooperation facilitated by the World Economic Forum, the WEF also promotes their Young Global Leaders program. So, the Young Global Leaders, I talked about this, a little bit in the previous episode of Davos Watch, episode 9. You go back and check it out if you haven't. But here are a few names, just a short list of names that are on this list of young global leaders. When it comes to world leaders, you got Justin Trudeau of Canada, Emmanuel Macron, you got Angela Merkel, you got Gordon Brown from the UK, Gavin Newsom. Business leaders include Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Mark Andreessen. Also, you've got Paul Krugman, one of my favorite economists, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Jim's personal favorite, Megan Rapinoe, all part of the Young Global Leaders list. And the list itself is massive. I didn't think that it was this big, but it's got like thousands of names on it. Jack tracked down a database with everyone from the Young Global Leaders and its predecessor program, the Global Leaders of Tomorrow. But what is the Young Global Leaders? Is it just an honorary award given to up-and-coming influential people? Not according to the World Economic website and the literature on this matter. According to their website, under the nomination criteria, it says, quote, every year we select a remarkable group of exceptional leaders under the age of 40 who have the tenacity, foresight, and track record to better the world. We seek individuals who reflect global diversity, innovate to advance the public interest, and place a premium on genuine public-private cooperation exchanges. These individuals will be invited to join the community and embark on a 3-year transformational journey. Their website is also populated with a bunch of testimonials from some of these people that are in the Young Global Leaders. One of the testimonials reads, quote, becoming a Young Global Leader wasn't an award for past accomplishments, but an invitation to start a new journey committed to helping make the world a better place. Another one reads, my Young Global Leaders experience helped me change my career to focus on driving more environmentally and socially sustainable financing and investments. For that, I am forever grateful. And that was the global head of sustainable finance at Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. So these people are very influential. They are very influenced by the Young Global Leaders program. And when they go back to, after their little indoctrination camps, they're able to help kind of indoctrinate everyone else down the line. So you have a program of the World Economic Forum dedicated solely to grooming the next generation of influential people. You have Klaus Schwab talking about how this. In that same video, he talks about how half the cabinet in Canada were Young Global Leaders members at some point. These public figures are all spouting World Economic Forum rhetoric, but does it translate to real governing and public policy? And I personally would love, if I had the time and the manpower, I would love to study the correlation between the Young Global Leaders members and World Economic Forum supported public policies enacted while those people held office. But in the meantime, I'll have to stick to what we can find. And thankfully, because of the wonderful research of Jack McFerrin, we have found a peer-reviewed academic study which gives us some insight into this very thing. So this paper that I don't think I have it in the show notes. I will find it and share it. But the paper is titled, quote, is the network of World Economic Forum Young Global Leaders associated with COVID-19 non-pharmaceutical invention severity? The study found that in regards to certain COVID related public policy, the World Economic Forum, with its network of trained young global leaders worldwide, could function as an influential amplifier or echo chamber. If the World Economic Forum formed a shared opinion on the crisis and mitigation measures, this opinion might have been spread and reinforced through the Young Global Leaders Network. And so they found a correlation between countries with high levels of young global leaders in their kind of leadership roles and following some of these kind of WEF subscribed non-pharmaceutical interventions. So this shouldn't be surprising. I'd be willing to bet that I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that the same correlations could be found on a number of issues, whether it's climate change, energy policy being the first couple that come to mind. And last thing that I want to talk about before I open it up to comment here is that our world leaders are getting ready for another dose of World Economic Forum narratives with the Davos 2024 conference starting here soon in January 15th. According to their website, the main theme of the conference will be rebuilding trust. It says, quote, the program embodies a back to basics spirit of open and constructive dialogue between leaders of government, business, and civil society. What could have happened in the past couple of years to degrade the trust people had in world governments and international institutions? I couldn't possibly know. But I'm sure Klaus Schwab and his band of experts have the answers and, more importantly, the solutions.